Hey everyone, Britta here. So I was actually going to talk about something else today, but I've been making some TikTok videos. I don't know how I feel about it yet, but that's what I was told to do, so that's what I'm doing. And the first one I made was on the fear of visibility. And to be honest, I was kind of talking to myself. And I had a hard time really making that first video because, like I said before, I just didn't know what to say, and I'd been putting it off for so long. But the other part of it was the fear of visibility. And with that, you'd think, I lost all that weight, that I would have more confidence and it'd be easier to be seen on camera than it was before. But before, it was kind of like a stage version of me. Not that I was being inauthentic, but I was able to hide myself a little bit more. As you see the angles a little bit further back, you can actually see me now. I am more confident. I do feel better in my body. I am definitely a lot healthier than I was. But there is something about losing that weight that I lost my shield. I lost this mask that I could hide behind. When I was heavier, people used to look through me. Now they look at me. And it's very uncomfortable when you're getting used to that. Even though it's been several years, it's been about 4 years since I've had the surgery, I still struggle with people seeing me. And in making those videos, I had to ask myself, what is it really that I'm afraid of? Is it that I'm really afraid of people looking at me and looking at my body and pointing out the insecurities that I still have? I'm sure that's a little bit of it, but the reality is I was not afraid of being seen so much as being seen, meaning somebody seeing through the facade, somebody seeing my imposter syndrome, where it feels like I don't have what it takes. It feels like I struggle to even find my voice anymore compared to how it used to be. And what I was actually afraid of with being seen is not being good enough, is being rejected. And my best friend, when I posted that first video, he texted me and he said, I know this wasn't for me, and he did give me permission to say this, but he said, I know this, sorry, my camera slipped. But my best friend texted me after I posted that video and he said, I know this wasn't for me specifically, but it hit somewhere deep down. And we started talking about it a little bit, and he said that he has a stage version of himself, and that if that stage version of himself isn't good enough, it doesn't hurt so much because it's not really the real him. But if he's visible and he's vulnerable, and that version of himself gets rejected, or that version of himself isn't good enough, then that actually affects who he is, and that hurts. So I made a second video kind of talking about that, and of course I only have 60 seconds. I'm still learning, so I'm sure I can go longer than that, but as of right now I only have 60 seconds to convey a message when I'm doing these TikTok videos or these shorts. And so what I was saying in that video is kind of like, so what? And not to belittle those feelings, because I have those feelings deeply as well, but so what if I'm rejected by a group of people? What if I am not good enough for a group of people? Those people are going to be the people that don't vibe with me. Those people are going to be the people that this message isn't for them. They're not the same they're not at the same vibrational frequency. They're not at the same place. They're not needing to hear my message. They need to hear somebody else's message. So you being authentic and you being visible, you might be able to reach those people that don't vibe with me. And we might even be the same enlightened level, but it's different because what I say and the vocabulary that I have is unique to me. But there's going to be a group of people that clicks with them. And there's going to be a group of people that doesn't click with them at all. I had another friend who messaged me about the second video that I made. And he sent me this big old long message that said, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but blah, 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 blah. And he went on to literally say everything that I was trying to say in that video, that it shouldn't matter. And we know that, right? It's not as easy as just saying, oh, well, don't let people bother you. Don't let that bother you. We know that. We've always known that. But when you let yourself go to the extreme and you really let yourself follow through with that storyline, that's where you get the root cause of your fear. If it wasn't for my best friend telling me about what his fear was, and that it comes from a place of not wanting to be rejected, we are a social species. That's just our human nature. We want to be accepted. We want to be loved. If we're not accepted and we're not loved, then we're alone. And when we're alone, we die. And that's just a subconscious thing of being human and being part of a community. That's why we crave community. We crave other people in our lives, because it comes from this place of survival. So when you let yourself dive down this rabbit hole of the worst case scenario, yes, you could say that you're overthinking. Yes, you could say that you're causing yourself anxiety, but you're causing yourself anxiety when you take it as truth, for one. And you're causing yourself anxiety when you don't allow yourself to observe it, and you're not allowing yourself to let it fully play out. There's usually a place where it stops, where we can't bring ourselves to speak the unspeakable, the thing that we're truly afraid of. But when you allow yourself to speak the unspeakable and you allow yourself to go to where you truly are afraid of, that's where the healing comes from. That's where the blockages are. That's where you're finally able to say, aha, that's what I'm afraid of. That's what's holding me back. And once you become aware of it, healing is kind of funny. There's not much you really have to do, because the awareness of it oftentimes is enough to help you overcome it. So me being aware that I have a fear of visibility and asking myself, is it because I've lost the weight? Or what is it about losing the weight that made me fear being vulnerable? Yes, all these surface insecurities come up that I have. Yes, I have loose skin. I talked about that in that last video. That's something that I'm working towards and I'm saving up for. Will that make me happy though? No, it's not going to make me feel better about myself. I mean, it will, but it won't. And I know that. I want it because I want it for me, and it's the conclusion of that part of my journey. That's what I'm working towards. But I don't have any misconceptions that I'm just going to magically be in love with my body any more than I am right now. I'm going to have scars. My stretch marks are still going to be there. Things are going to look different. Yes, I'm going to be happy in some ways, but other ways I might be unhappy. But that's okay, because if I go into it with the thought of perfection, I will definitely be letting myself down. But going into it knowing that I'm doing this for me, for my comfort, helps a lot as well. Understanding that getting rid of the physical barrier, the thing that literally pushed my body out and kept other people away from me because I took up more space, that doesn't mean that I'm not safe. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get hurt. When I had that physical barrier and my body was bigger, it literally pushed people away, physically. If you were to hug me, you might not be able to get your arms all the way around me back then. Now you can hug me and you can loop an arm around my waist. It's a wonderful thing, and I love being healthy. But it means that people can get closer to me physically. And if they can get closer to me physically, it feels like they can get closer to me emotionally. And that brings me back to that fear of visibility, that fear of being seen, that fear of being vulnerable and letting people in. We all go through times where we're hurt. That's part of the human experience. That's part of the journey. But it's okay to not let that rule your life. Again, I encourage you, when you have a fear about something and you know that you're being held back in a certain way, go down that rabbit hole. What is the worst case scenario? Okay, then what happens? And allow yourself to go further. Okay, then what happens? And allow yourself to go further. And keep asking yourself, then what happens, until you fully reached a point where there's nothing that comes after that. And most of the time it's a fear of death. It's a fear of being alone. Sometimes it's a fear of both. For me, I had some deep-seated fears that even after I died, I would end up alone just in this darkness and nobody would be looking for me and I couldn't find source and I would be disconnected from all of life and all of love. And that was a fear I didn't even know was there. But I found it by going down that rabbit hole, and being aware of it helped me to go beyond what was holding me back. So I want to know, what are your fears? What are some things that are holding you back? And it might not even be the fear of visibility. It might be the fear of success. It might be the fear of failure. It might be the fear of commitment. What's currently holding you back from having the life that you've always dreamed of? I love you guys so much. Thank you for joining me. It's good to be back, and I will talk to you soon.